So specifically, all right, in 3, 2, and 1. So specifically, what have you worked on in your craft? The fans say kind of like runner.
I remember, keep that text box open, Corn, and I'll have everything there,
It's open.
information-wise, ready and available. Stand by.
Live from Columbia, this is Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. Be a part of tonight's show. Call us at 800-956-7266 or email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, here are your hosts for Sports Talk, Phil Kornbluth, Kevin McCrary, and Tom.
We really believe he's a very good player, has a chance to lead us to a big season, has a chance. He's a fifth-year player. He's been there. He's been to all the games. He's 3-0 as a starter. I think if we're going to have another big year, we have got to win the close games. Last year, I think we won about 6 out of 7 that could have gone either way. And when you can do that, that's how you win 11 games.
Steve Spurrier here in Hoover, Alabama this morning as he made his appearance at SEC Media Days 2014, as Spurrier is about to commence what will be his 10th season at South Carolina, and that will match his stay at Florida, and he is looking forward to perhaps getting the Gamecocks that elusive first SEC championship, and a lot of folks think the Gamecocks will have an excellent chance to do that. We'll be talking a lot about the Gamecocks. We'll be talking a lot about the Clemson Tigers tonight as well, as we welcome you into Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network. Phil Kornbluth coming to you from Radio Row here in Hoover at SEC Media Days, day number 2, and we're at the Hyatt Regency Winfrey Hotel in Hoover, Alabama. It's been a busy day. We've had 4 teams come through, along with South Carolina. We had Texas A&M, we had Mississippi State, and we had Tennessee. We'll hear from Butch Jones of Tennessee, and we'll hear from Kevin Sumlin of A&M as well. Time permitting, we'll try to get to those interviews. Also, we spoke with USC quarterback Dylan Thompson today. We'll get to that. And, of course, making the rounds here last night and today, and he's as big a star as any of the current players, and that's Stephen Garcia. You know, Spurrier never brought him to media days when he was a player at South Carolina, but now that he's in the media and working for Saturdays Down South, the website, he is making the rounds here, getting a lot of attention from other members of the media who want to find out more about what's going on with Stephen Garcia. KMAC, Kevin McCrary, is in the upstate. He is at the Reserve Club at Lake Kiowee for Dabo Sweeney's media golf outing, which is just wrapping up. We'll be hearing from him in a little bit. We'll hear from some of the Tigers, coaches as well, like Dabo Sweeney and Brent Venables. And the professor, Tom Hayes, he's just kicking back, relaxing in our comfortable downtown Columbia studios, Pro.
Yeah, it is real quiet in our studios now, but that's an inside joke, visually and as far as audio is concerned. Yeah, it was a fun day. It seems to me that they're always trying to tweak Spurrier to say something controversial, but he was sort of sedate compared to other times we've seen him. I think probably the funniest thing he said was Stephen Garcia said, I told him he looked like one of those guys from Duck Dynasty.
Well, a quiet Spurrier, according to Kevin Sumlin, is a dangerous Spurrier because Sumlin is good friends with Spurrier and his family. They hang out together. They vacation together. They talk football together. And he said today Spurrier has been kind of quiet, and that tells him he thinks he's got a good team. We'll be right back. All right, thumbs up, thumbs down.
Well above my pay grade.
What's that?
The fact they ripped all of our TVs out.
No. How's our sound?
Oh, fine.
Yeah, that's what thumbs up, thumbs down mean. Are we good?
Oh, you said what's that? I didn't hear what you said.
No. They took TV out of your studio, too?
It's all gone.
Well, dang nation.
Oh, if you want to add to your banner, put at it SEC Media Days, go ahead and do it.
I already did, didn't I?
No, it just says Phil Kornblue.
Well, I did that.
Well, it's not there.
I swear to Buddha, I don't have time for this nonsense. I put the SEC Media Days, and I put the,
Stand by, Graham Caffeine.
I've got at SEC Media Days down here. Oh, maybe I have to turn that off and back on.
All right.
Oh, there it is.
Can everybody see me?
Please.
All right. Can you hear me? Check one. Hello?
Yeah, I hear you. The state man's walked away. K-Mac, can you hear me? Can you hear me? State man.
Okay. Yeah. You don't want to. Yeah. Don't want to have it. Yeah. And have it. That's no problem.
All right, you hear me okay, K-Mac? Oh, you must have us down in Kachu. Kachu.
Yo, can you hear me?
Yeah, mm-hmm. Yeah, phone number would be different. Audio would have to be sent ahead of time. I assume so, but can we connect? Not time.
Can you hear me?
Don't we have a hotline?
Yeah, you ready now? Let me bring you up your whole tape.
Eek.
You good to go now?
They have an ISDN. We can use that. Hotline would work too. Okay.
You send more/Dabo yet? I haven't looked, K-Mac.
There's one. There we go. Can you hear me, Corey?
Yeah.
Hey, no, I don't. I'm gonna do Dabo. He got a live shot. I should have Dabo by the 45 segment.
You gonna do him live?
Morris is in there with the Bolt Media now. Dabo's got to do a. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got you.
Hello.
K-Mac, check. For some reason he can't hear me. Yeah, I think he can hear you, Corn.
K-Mac, can you hear me, my man? I'm not sure he can hear either one of us.
We just lost him. He froze internet-wise.
Yeah, I see him.
His little silhouette stuck.
His head stuck to the. I think he's calling back.
I think so too. All right, stand by. I'm gonna have to postpone. Stand by.
Yeah, stay focused here.
Stand by.
It is Sports Talk here on a Tuesday night from SEC Media Days. Feels kind of weird to me because this is the first year we've gone to the 4-day format. So typically tonight would be our first night at SEC Media Days, and we'd go tomorrow and we'd go Thursday. Pro, it's kind of like racing in the Coke 600. You know, you drive those first 500 miles and you feel like you finished a race. Then you realize, we got another 100 miles to go. So we still got 2 more days of this stuff to go. 3 coaches coming in tomorrow, plus tomorrow they're going to bring in the SEC head of officials and the guy from the SEC network to make another pitch for us to put out to those who haven't picked up the SEC network, those distribution systems, DirecTV, Time Warner Cable, etc. Try to put the pressure on those folks to pick it up. And then 4 more teams coming in on Thursday, and then we will we'll wrap everything up. Coming up tonight here on Sports Talk, we'll let you hear what Steve Spurrier had to say. He had a couple of different meetings with us. We met with him this morning about 8:45, That would be 8:45 Central Time. Right after they arrived here at the hotel, we went upstairs. The South Carolina media contingent all gathered upstairs, and we had a chance to get Spurrier before he came downstairs to do all the big media stuff here at the SEC Media Days. So we'll let you hear that. His entire exchange with the main media is on our website, sportstalksc.com, if you want to hear the entire 30 minutes of that. And as I mentioned, we've also got an interview with Dylan Thompson from here. And up Clemson way, we're going to hear from Dabo Sweeney and Brent Venables. Have that for you tonight as well. K-Mac will check in with us, too, once he has finished up doing some of the things that he is doing up there this afternoon. So we've got a lot of great stuff to come your way tonight here on Sports Talk. Oh, and Pro, I forgot, there's that thing called the Major League Baseball All-Star Game coming up tonight.
Yeah, I'll probably watch 2 innings before it'll be bedtime time for me. But, again, these SEC Media Days today, without the rock stars, without Clowney and Johnny Manziel, it seems to be quiet. I still hearken back to the great memories about last year, about the select group of quarterbacks of Murray and Boyd, and even going back to his high school days, the Notre Dame quarterback who was scared of Clowney when he was on the other side. I missed what happened last year. I also missed Philip Fulmer getting his summons that year at SEC Media Days. Those are the fun times.
Yeah, we were rehashing that today with Charles Bloom, who now works at USC, but for many years he was with the SEC, and he handled this extravaganza. He was one of the reasons this thing has grown to what it's grown to, and we were both kind of lamenting the fact that it's been sort of a sparkless couple of days here as far as no real fireworks. I will say this, Kevin Sumlin today, he sent a little bit of a spark through the media when asked a question by a reporter about Johnny Manziel, and it was sort of worded along the lines of, what was it like coaching Johnny Manziel? What do you remember about that? How do you think he'll do in Cleveland? And he paused for a moment, and he said, is this SEC Media Days? And he said, if you want to talk about Johnny Manziel, go ask the Cleveland Browns. Basically saying he's ready to move on from Johnny football. He's got to decide on a quarterback himself. He's got 2 guys really competing for the job. Had one who played a little bit last season when Manziel was hurt. I think his name is Kenny Hill. And then he's got the highly touted freshman who came in at midterm, Kyle Allen, who's going to have a chance to win the job and be the starting quarterback when they come to Columbia. Speaking of Texas A&M, they lost a lot of offensive manpower from the team last season. This has got to be, I don't know if it's a first, it's certainly an oddity. How many teams can claim in a league like the SEC, how many teams can claim in the same season that they led the team in scoring, points per game, led the league in scoring, points per game, and also led the league in points per game allowed? So their offense was very good, and their defense was equally bad, but they managed to win 9 games anyway.
Well, that's because, Johnny Manziel did the Houdini act, and I guess it culminated in that Chick-fil-A Bowl against Duke when it looked like they were buried, and they came back from the dead to win that football game. But let's face it, part of it is a problem that a lot of teams had, and that is the other team's offense is going to try to score anyway because they know they're going to have a tough time stopping Johnny Manziel. So you saw other teams' offenses doing a lot of things against A&M to say, look, if we got to light up the scoreboard, well, we'll compete against Johnny Manziel, and the victim in all of this was the A&M defense.
Mm-hmm. Well, they do return some offensive linemen. They do return some good people on defense. They've got nowhere to go but up on the defensive side of things. Not a whole lot of news from South Carolina today. Spurrier was very good in talking with the media. He talked about how much he loves South Carolina, really how comfortable he is in his job at South Carolina, saying with this president, this AD, and his current coaching staff, he's about as comfortable as he's ever been. He said that He didn't expect to be coaching this long. His plan after he left Florida was to go to the NFL for 4 or 5 years, uh, get it done there, and then retire. That was his plan. But he said after a couple of years with the Redskins, we know that it was a miserable 2 years for him, and the record wasn't good. And he made the decision to, well, I guess between, I don't know, maybe Snyder forced him out, Daniel Snyder, or Spurrier took it upon himself to say he'd had enough. But after a year away from football, the South Carolina situation opened up and appealed to him, and he's very, very happy that he made that decision. And he gives no indication of any interest in wanting to walk away from that. He'll become the first SEC coach in history to coach 10 years in the league at 2 different schools when he completes this season at South Carolina. The only little news item, couple of them, Rory Anderson, who's coming off that torn, I think it's a bicep or tricep in his arm. He is recuperating. Spurrier is not optimistic right now that he'll be available at the start of the season. He didn't say one way or the other, just not sure yet. He did point out that he does have a redshirt year available if needed. Then he said he's also optimistic that the 3 freshmen, the defensive backs who have not yet qualified, he feels like most of those will qualify and be in school. And he said they need them because they're going to need some help in the secondary, as we're well aware. We'll hear from Spurrier coming up. Let's go to Sunset, South Carolina, where K-Mac's been hanging out at the beautiful Reserve Club all day with the Tigers. K-Mac, how's it going?
Oh, it's lovely, Corn, the unofficial start of the preseason camp for Clemson with a round of golf here at the Reserve at Lake Kiowee, which I watched the round of golf transpire from the clubhouse here, the shade and the coolness of the clubhouse with Gatorades and water close by throughout the day.
Well, you certainly need that on a hot, steamy day in the upstate, even though you're in the mountains. I know you've had a chance to talk with some of the Clemson coaches, and you'll have Dabo coming by a little bit later on. Anything of newsworthiness coming out of the Clemson camp so far today?
No standard stuff. In fact, I'm about to chit-chat with Chad Morris, so I'm going to pop away here in just a moment. We'll hear from Chad Morris. Dabo's doing a live shot, and he's going to come by. And we've already talked to Brent Venables, and a lot of good stuff coming out here at the Reserve.
All right, K-Mac, we'll get that from you coming up in just a little bit, so stay tuned for that. We'll have the Tigers for you tonight. We'll have the Gamecocks for you tonight. The only program in the state, the only sports talk show in the state covering Clemson Media Golf Outing, SEC Media Day, and, of course, we'll be at the ACC Media Day Sunday and Monday. Completely different setup at the ACC Media Day compared to here in Hoover. That's much more casual. It's held at it's not a resort, but it's at a golf location in Greensboro at a very nice hotel, and much more laid back and casual than the SEC. Though I will say this is nicely done as well. They've done a very good job this year of keeping everything on time and moving, and that's very much appreciated. We're going to hit a break. We'll be back. More sports talk on this Tuesday night coming up. Yep. You need to keep him muted, and when he's talking, I'm going to mute myself. So I think that adds to the clarity when we do that.
Well, I already had him muted, but then he restarted or he rebooted and came back on, and then it wasn't muted, so I didn't see it.
Okay.
I got it.
But he sounded okay.
Sounds fine.
Good enough. Hope it
There's
holds
so many
up.
people right there next to him that are being obnoxious. They're being obnoxious while sports talk's on the air.
What a surprise. Pro have any notes from his end he wants to toss in there?
Sure, they're not a news notey kind of day. Jimmy Graham resigned. That's about it.
All right. I've got a couple of notes. hotline in the studio. Ugh. Depends on the thing.
Ooh.
Hmm.
Chad Moore says Deshaun Watson will play against Georgia.
How about those Snapples?
That'll be fun.
Where did he get? K-Mac just tell you that?
TigerNet.
TigerNet.
Stand by.
TigerNet. Coming up after the break, we'll hear from Steve Spurrier, so stay tuned for that here on Sports Talk. And some notes to pass along to you. Chad Morris telling guys just a few moments ago, and K-Mac will have more on this, that Deshaun Watson, the freshman quarterback, will play against Georgia. Dabo Swinney said earlier today, too, he did a little gaggle with reporters before heading out on the golf course. And Cole Stout is still the starting quarterback, but Dabo didn't endorse him as a guy that's going to hold the job without a fight from Watson and without producing. His words were he's got to win, saying, leaving me to believe that if there's much of if he falters very early or very much against Georgia, you could see a quick hook and them run Deshaun Watson out there pretty quickly. Also from up there today, I know K-Mac will mention this as well. Tyshawn Dye, who's coming off the Achilles tendon injury back in February, they're saying that he will not be ready to go until mid-season at the earliest. So they're counting on him to come in and help bolster the running game, but it looks like they won't have him until mid-season at the earliest. What else out of Clemson? A couple of personnel moves in the administration. Barbara Kennedy Dixon, one of the all-time great Clemson athletes, the first women's basketball player inducted in the Clemson Ring of Honor, two-time All-American, three-time All-ACC, and the all-time leading scorer at Clemson, too. I believe she is the all-time leading scorer, men and women. Been in the administration there, been with the university for 27 years, dating back to 1978. Anyway, long way of saying that she's moving to another position as Dan Radakovich continues to clean house of a lot of the folks that have been in that program for a long, long time. She will have the title of Special Assistant to the Director of Athletics. It says here, will provide assistance to the Director of Athletics in areas of identified critical needs and on special projects, which, Pro, that kind of tells me, thanks for the memories. We appreciate everything you've done, but it's time to move somebody else into your position.
Well, maybe they want to move a psychologist over there in her position.
Yeah.
They can kill two birds with one stone.
They've called for that. She's just the latest in what's becoming a pretty long line of folks who've been involved in the Clemson program for a while who are no longer going to be involved. And, Dan, being a relatively new athletic director, certainly has the right to bring people in that he's familiar with and he likes and wants to have in his inner circle. He also announced the hiring of Darryl Richard, a former defensive line standout at Georgia Tech and a member of the New England Patriots. He's been hired as Assistant Director of Business Operations. I'm not sure if that's pronounced Richard or Richard. Clemson has a football recruit coming in by the name of Richard. And we'll be right back. I've got to always remember to check this page. All right, so we'll do. You got the Spurrier, the short set, the 8 minutes and 30-something seconds?
10 total.
How long is it?
10 on the dot.
Oh, wow. I want to get it all in about that part about Garcia at the end.
We want to cut a little bit at the beginning.
Let me hear the beginning.
Hey, our message this year's the same as always. We think we got a pretty good team ready. We know we're not going to be a lot better than everybody we play or any better. There's so many good teams in our league. But hopefully our guys will get it together, and hopefully we can win a bunch of close games like we did last year. If we do those kind of things,
we need to
we'll
leave
have a
that in
chance
there.
for a very good season.
Go ahead and roll ahead and find yourself a clean place to cut it.
Continue trying to do.
Do you have a better idea who your number 2 quarterback is behind Thompson?
No,
Probably want
yeah, you
to
can do that every now and then.
run at least about
I think
9.5 minutes.
Really good.
How about Steven Garcia joining the media?
Yeah, as soon as I see Steven, I'm going to tell him you look like you joined Duck Dynasty instead of.
You want to keep that for a separate segment, or what do you want to do?
No.
That starts right at the 9-minute mark, so I can get a little bit of that till 9:30.
Yeah. How about Steven Garcia joining the media?
Yeah, as soon as I see Steven, I'm going to tell him you look like you joined Duck Dynasty instead of the media. He's Steven, he was a wonderful guy when he's with our team and around the locker room and everything. Sometimes when he left the stadium and got on campus or some other places, he sort of went back to the other Steven Garcia, but he was fine with us. He had some excellent games with us. That Alabama game, he was the best quarterback in the
If you can get that in there, can you get through that part?
Excellent games with us. That Alabama game, he had some excellent games with us. That Alabama game.
Can you let it go? He said, keep let it go from there.
I'm at 9:35. I can't go much further.
Well, let him finish that sentence. He said he was the best quarterback in the country.
He was the best quarterback in the nation that day. There's no question about that. So
right there,
he did a lot of good things for. He did a lot of good things for.
Let that. I'll get into it. I'm gonna jump right into it.
About that. So question about that. So there's no question about that. So nation that day. There's no question about that. There's no question about. He was the best quarterback in the nation that day.
Here's the playing corn. Come right in, jump right to it, and then if we get right into it, we get the whole thing in.
Okay.
But I'm going to tell you to unmute right towards the end, and you just got to understand, best quarterback in the nation that day. And as soon as he says that, you got to say, Steve Spurrier, get out. Okay. I'll text you in the text box, let you know, open it up. Stand by.
Okay. Okay, we're going to get right into things with Steve Spurrier, who made the rounds at SEC Media Days this morning. Let's listen in to what he told the media from South Carolina first thing this morning.
Okay, our message this year's the same as always. We think we got a pretty good team ready. We know we're not going to be a lot better than everybody we play or any better. But hopefully our guys, like we did, if we do those kind of things, we'll have a chance for a very good season. But we got a good bunch of players, wonderful attitude, so it'll be a fun year, hopefully, for all the Gamecocks. But we got to wait and see how it plays out.
Steve, just how much did this team rally behind Dylan? What kind of leadership?
Well, we don't know yet. Dylan's played 3 games. He's 3-0 as a starter. Came in last year, as you know, against Central Florida and played practically the whole game after Connor got hurt. So we have excellent confidence that Dylan can play well. The whole team believes in him, and he is truly a good leader. He and A.J. Can, those guys hang around the stadium seems like all day. They do their workout and their lifting and all that kind of stuff, and then a lot of times they hang around and help out the freshmen, see what they're up to. So we have players, I really believe, with wonderful attitudes this year.
You looking forward to seeing how Dylan handles the spotlight today as a starter?
He's prepared. Hey, he's been there 5 years. He's a 5-year guy that has got 1 year to make his mark in college football. He's got 1 year to do his thing. So he is really fired up about it, and he wants to take advantage. And I'm going to try my best to give him every opportunity to, lead our team and have as big a year as possible.
Steve, what's your biggest concern as you head into practice?
Well, you always worry that key injuries happen. Obviously, we don't want Dylan to get hurt, so he may not run around quite as much as Connor Shaw did, because we need him every game ready to play. But other than that, maybe some new freshman player. We don't know. We think a couple of those incoming freshmen are going to qualify. We think they're going to qualify here within the next couple of weeks, so we're not giving up on that yet. But we will have some young players at certain positions. But we got a lot of guys coming back overall, so we just got to go practice and see who we need to put on the field.
How much does it help that guys like Thompson and Cann are close as friends as your team leaders? How important is that in terms of leading a younger group of guys?
I think it's always important your quarterback is a solid type person, hopefully that is your leader also. AJ's a lineman. He don't say much, but he leads by example. And we have a very good group of 4th, 5th-year players. So, but other than that, we got to go play. Everybody else has got good players too. So we've got to play the game, play smart, play well, and again, hopefully win those close ones.
What do you think about being preseason East favorites this year?
I don't know that we're favorites. Georgia, most guys say it's us or Georgia, but who knows? Who knows? Nobody picked Missouri last year. Nobody picked Auburn, that's for sure. So they were the 2 winners. I think it's obvious everybody's going to pick Alabama to win the SEC. They've had the #1 recruiting class 5 of the last 6 years, so obviously they're the big favorite to win it all. But fortunately, sometimes the team with the best players don't win, and the team that plays the best does win. And that's how we've been fortunate to win a lot of games really the last few years. I'm not sure overall we were a lot better, but we played well. The guys really played well, especially in the 4th quarters and so forth. So we got to do that to have a big season.
Steve, I believe the SEC Network filmed a documentary about you. It's going to be shown this fall. Just talk about the process and some of your former players that came down to participate in this.
Well, it was a documentary they wanted to put together, and they spent a lot of time with my family, wife, kids, grandkids, and so forth, and a lot of former players. So hopefully it'll turn out okay.
What kind of growth did you see out of Pharaoh Cooper as a receiver in the spring and in terms of off-season workouts? What are you doing?
Yeah, Pharaoh came on the middle part of last season, and of course at the end of the year he was a crucial part of our team and so forth. And he can run with it, he can throw, he can do a lot of stuff. He hopefully will replace Bruce Ellington, sort of a slot receiver, outside receiver, and so forth. Pharaoh's a good one, yeah, and we got a lot of other good receivers also. We're fired up about this freshman group of receivers that are coming in also. So we got a month to practice and hopefully put the best players on the field.
How's Sean Carson doing with his injury recovery?
He should be okay. He should be full go. Yep, should be.
Tweak your offense to play to Dylan's strengths versus Connor's?
Well, like I said, Dylan probably won't run quite as much, but he can run with it. He's not just a sitting duck back there. He can take off, and occasionally we encourage him to do that. But Dylan, I really believe, is by far our best quarterback. So you want to keep him healthy the entire year and go from there.
You have any guys, any veterans that you know of who are, because of injury or academics, who won't be able to start with you?
I don't think we've had veterans have a little off-season surgery. Of course, Buster Anderson had that torn tricep. We think he's going to be back ready to go. If for some reason he's not, he's got a redshirt year available. But, again, we think he'll be ready to go. But some of the freshmen have come in with some minor ailments, and I think Shaq Davidson had his knee scoped the other day and so forth. So, but guys expecting to play a lot, we should be very healthy start of practice.
Is Deebo Samuel one of those freshmen who can make an early impact?
We'll have to wait and see. He possibly can. We just have to wait and see.
Do you think this will be your best offense since you've been in South Carolina?
Well, the last time we had a super offensive day, I think against Arkansas, you guys wrote that it was the best offense we've ever had, and we snuck it up pretty good against Tennessee the next week. So don't write that this is a great offense. Don't write that. Don't write it. We got a chance to have a good team. Offensive line's about all back. Ronald Patrick's the only one we lost up front. So these guys could be really good. They could be. I mean, we got to get a little meaner, I think, and a little tougher. But they are capable. You know, Brandon Shell, Corey Robinson, and all these guys. Mike Matulis is back with AJ. I don't know who our center will be. Probably Cody Waldrop. But they got a chance to be a real good one.
How important is the veteran stability of the offensive line has had the chance to have it grow together and mold as a unit?
Well, like I said, they've all played a bunch, so just got to go play. They know what to do. Now we got to go do it.
What do you think is the measuring stick for your best offense here?
Measuring stick, when the year's over and whatever our record is, that's the only thing that counts. And obviously, we've been fortunate, to go 11-2 3 years in a row. Jadeveon Clowney was a big part of that, even though he missed a few games last year. Man, you look at his record, 3 years, 33 wins, 33-6. By far the best 3-year stretch in the history of the school. And, of course, Connor Shaw, his record's tremendous also. And so really, hopefully we can do it again and maybe a little better. Who knows? Our goals will be very similar, I'm sure, as to what we've had the last several years. We haven't hit all of our goals, but we've hit a bunch of them. And hopefully we can do it again.
But as far as past teams here that you've had, which offense do you look back on and you think that was probably my best? I still
don't think we've peaked. I think we can still have one better as we go through. And Dylan's got a chance to do. The goal is to win the game, and that's what we'll.
Number 2 quarterback is behind Thompson.
No, we're going to let it play out here in preseason. Chance to be the backup.
Coach Ward had looked at some 3-4 during the spring.
Three, 4-4-3. I mean, there's all kind of stuff you got to do, and that's what our game. It's defense trying to do something. The offense and the offense. It's just. Players starts with mix up your schemes a little bit.
How about Stephen Garcia joining the media?
Yeah, as soon as I see Stephen, I'm gonna tell him you look like you joined Duck Dynasty instead of the media. And he was with our team and around the locker room and everything. And sometimes when he left the stadium and got on campus or some other places, he sort of went back to the other Stephen Garcia. But
all right, that's Steve Spurrier. We'll be right back.
Stephen Garcia, but
all right, that's Steve Spurrier. All right, the return audio has been cutting in and out with me.
It ended up working perfectly. All right, there's Steve Spurrier. Bump break.
Oh, good.
We lucked out.
All right, be right back. I'm going to see if I can find another Ethernet cord to see if it'll work. Be right back. Oh,
cool.
Oh, wait a minute. I see a phone line. I see a phone line. Da, 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 da. All right, Steak Man.
See.
Stand by and we'll call you on the phone here on the tie line.
Okay. Think we have any more luck with the line?
We're about to find out. What's the KMAC status?
Keep losing his signal. Every time he pops up, he goes away again. I think he just got done doing Dabo.
Well, he recorded Dabo?
Correct.
7642. 642. Hello.
Hey.
All right, so you talking to me through the tie line? Yeah, hang on. Check one, check one, check.
You're still on Google, too.
You mean to mute Google?
That's right. There we go. A lot better. It's
So why am I getting that? Why are we getting that? Muted myself.
I'm having a hard time figuring this out. Hold on. Yeah, I've already got that down. Check one, 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 check one. Yeah, that's you. Check one, check one, check.
There we go. Yeah.
Better?
Yep.
There we go. All right, cool. Stand by. We're about to come back. Oh, you want to run anything here or what?
What do we have from K-Mac?
I've got Venables. Stand by. I gotta bring it down.
Okay, back on Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network. We've heard from Steve Spurrier. We'll hear from Dylan Thompson and more from here at SEC Media Days in Hoover, Alabama. K-Mac is up in the mountains of South Carolina, Sunset, South Carolina, at the Reserve Club for Clemson's media golf outing. We'll hear from Dabo Sweeney in the next hour, but this afternoon, before they went out on the course, I guess it was this morning, K-Mac had a chance to catch up with the Tigers' defensive coordinator, Brent Venables. Here's K-Mac and the coach.
All right, well, we're about ready to strap it on again. I know this is always kind of an exciting time of year for fans, players, and coaches.
Yeah, it's whether it's a smell in the air or just the clock on the wall. It's this time of the year there is a lot to look forward across the country. College football is a special sport and tugs at the emotions probably even more so than the great game of soccer that we've all been a part of. And myself, I've gotten a little bored of, but it's a special sport to be a part of, no doubt. And we got a lot to look forward to. A program like Clemson that it's got the story and the storied tradition and the history. And anytime you got a chance to win every game that you're in, it's a fun place to be. And so there's going to be a lot of unknowns going into this year, but a lot to be excited about for sure.
Well, guys like us in the media, we're pontificating about what's going to happen. In years past, it was always the offense that everybody talked about first with Clemson, but now this year everybody seems to point to the defense with all the guys up front coming back that is going to carry the day. How do you react to that kind of praise coming down on your unit?
Well, I mean, every year's different. Circumstances are different. Players are different. Your matchups are different. So it kind of writes its own story. Everybody likes to predict ahead of time and portray, and that's the exciting part of the anticipation of the season. But we should be excited. I mean, we got a bunch of good players back up front. It always starts up front, both in the run game and then, developing and evolving from there. But it's good quality depth, depth and experience, depth and playmaking. We go a solid 2 deep across the board there, and then our front 7 I think is going to be strong. We got a couple outside linebacker positions to continue to compete and develop that position, but I like the guys that are there, and our 2 deep there in the middle or 3 deep is really strong. So you got to be good up the middle to have any chance at all. And starting with Grady Jarrett and Stephon Anthony, both at nose guard and at middle linebacker, it doesn't get any stronger than that. So I've always been a believer in earning it on the field with the work that you put in, and because I've a few times in 20 years of coaching, you've had guys perform and underachieve, and nothing's more disappointing and frustrating as a coach when your guys aren't playing to their ability. But that being said, you don't ever expect or anticipate that, and I think our guys are excited. Had a great spring, followed up by a really good summer, and now we got to put together that fall camp that where you're really kind of identifying and cleaning up all any perceived weaknesses, things that you need to get better at, and a lot of competition going on, particularly in the secondary and again at the outside linebackers, and again finding out who actually going to be those starters going in up front, going down to Georgia.
Who are some guys that you're looking towards to step up this year in that defensive secondary?
Robert Smith's the first guy because he's the most experienced guy, but he had a fantastic spring, easily our most consistent guy back there, and really developing into a playmaker and really coming into his own in everything that we're doing back there and being more vocal. I expect them all to play well, but we'll see. I think it's a talented group of guys, both out at corner. Love the competitiveness and the toughness that Martin Jenkins has always brought to the secondary since I've gotten here. He's just been a guy that's been stung by the injury bug, and of course he was gone in the spring, and hopefully he can get back to being what he was, because he's a football player and plays big and plays tough and super coachable, and he'll do whatever you ask him to do, and you can build a very strong unit around selfless, tough, skilled guys that are humble and have those types of intangibles. But Gary Peters won't be with us going down to Georgia, and that's always disappointing. But seeing how he responds to that, and there's a lot of competition at corner. I say a lot. There's some unknown there, but we feel like we got 4 solid ones and some other young guys that are fighting to get in that mix. And between again Cordray Tankersley and McKenzie Alexander, both had really pretty solid springs, and need them to have great fall camps. And they're going to have a chance to both start their first collegiate games, potentially.
All right, Brent Venables from up at Clemson today. Got a pretty sound defense, I think. We'll be right back.
The Popes. I'm all over the place. And mildly out of practice. Boy, you are famous now. The guy that said hut hut behind one of the best teams ever. Again, let me repeat myself. The guy that said hut hut behind one of the best teams ever. Except for the time he came to Columbia. Oh, look, the 2009 version of Gino Torretta. Sweet. You started it. I guess we can't. Well, we might try to reconnect here with the second half. Once we hit the 7 o'clock block. But looks like K-Mac's kind of MIA for a minute. 13. Stand by, stand by.
All right, coming up in the next hour, we'll hear from Dabo Sweeney, plus USC quarterback Dylan Thompson, and more from here at SEC Media Days, and more from up in the upstate of South Carolina. K-Mac there with Dabo Sweeney and the Tigers playing golf. And we'll have more from Clemson next week, Sunday, Monday, ACC Media Days in Greensboro. Of course, Sports Talk will be there for that, and we'll bring that to you on our program Monday night. Hey, guess who I just met as he was walking by here at Radio Hall?
Who?
Greg McElroy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was with my friend Taylor Zarzer, and they're going to be doing a morning college football show on Sirius XM Radio, I think Channel 91, the college sports station. So good luck to those two guys. They should do well together.
And he's part of the SEC network, is he not?
I believe that he is, too.
I thought maybe he was following in his dad's footsteps. Maybe he would. Isn't he in management with the Cowboys still?
I think he is.
Mm-hmm.
I think he is. Quickly, a couple of notes. I want to mention this, too. Remind everybody that, of course, you can catch us on one of our terrific affiliates around the state of South Carolina, about 25 stations around the state, and we thank them every night for being with us here on Sports Talk. Should you not be able to catch us on one of our stations, we suggest that you go to our website, sportstalksc.com. You can catch the audio link there. You can also catch the video feed at the bottom of the page. A lot of folks do that, like to sit back and watch us. This is me in Hoover, and Pro is back at our studios in downtown Columbia. K-Mac right now is busy up at the Reserve getting some more interviews done up there. So you can watch us or you can listen to us at our website, sportstalksc.com. And while you're there, check out all the good stuff we have up for you every day, recruiting and other news items. Our Twitter feed at SportsTalkSC. Sign up for that and follow us on Twitter. And on Facebook, it is Sports Talk Radio Network. Now, a couple of other quick notes to mention to you. Trevor Booker, former Clemson basketball star, was with the Washington Wizards. He's now signed a 2-year deal with the Utah Jazz. Had his best NBA season last season, averaging over 6 points and 5 rebounds per game. Coastal Carolina today announced its new class for its Hall of Fame, including former football stars Tyler Thigpen, our buddy Tyler with the Cleveland Browns, and also, of course, he's a quarterback, also going into the Hall of Fame, former football player Josh Hoke, who was outstanding kicker for the Chanticleers. And, Pro, you've got something, too?
Yeah, you talked about Steve Spurrier moving out of football for a year, coming to South Carolina. Bob Hanna didn't wait that long. He's been retired, I think, since late June. Athletic director, head coach at Irmo. He is now the new head football coach at West Brunswick in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Going back to the Star Hill State from whence he came before he went to Irmo. Top of the hour break. We'll be back. More from Hoover, Columbia, and the Upstate.
As producer behind the scenes, I would like to say that if you would, just be the talent, be lazy, and just say a couple things here and there, you let the producer handle the rest of it. That's what the producer wants to hear, okay? That's an excerpt from a Phil Kornbluth diatribe I had listened to, 10 minutes ago. Because if I'm going to hit the next level as a producer, Tom, I'm going to need to, to shut my mouth. I'm going to check in on K-Mac. I don't think he's really getting a telephone reception up there. Cellular. When do you run around the Dylan? You want Tennessee or Sumlin? Ooh, you didn't post the Jones to your story on the internet, so I need that. You got your video on the story, but you don't have his audio. Yeah, that's true. But I do have Sumlin ready. 5 total. Yeah, me neither. If we can squeeze both those guys in one long segment, I think that'll work better. But remember, we still have Dabo and Morris. We got a lot to do here. You want to do Dabo tonight and Chad tomorrow or something, or we got so much to squeeze? Or what about these guys? These coaches could probably sit another day. The opposing coaches. Okay. Okay. Yeah. If we do him and Sumlin together, we can get him in those two in one of the 10-minute blocks. Butchie. It took me about a year, but I eventually stopped calling him Dan Jones. Excellent. What was the chick's name that was on steroids? There we go. Is Morgan up there? I wasn't sure if he was going to make it or not. Stand by.
Live from Columbia, this is Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. Be a part of tonight's show. Call us at 800-956-7266 or email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, here are your hosts for Sports Talk, Phil Kornblut, Kevin McCrary, and Tom Hayes.
Okay, we're back. Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network, busy. Hour number 2 coming up. You're going to hear from USC quarterback Dylan Thompson. You'll never guess where he went this summer and what he was doing. You got any idea there, Pro, what I'm talking about?
He was at the border helping some of the people cross.
No, but that's a good guess. That's a good guess. I'm going to leave you hanging. On that until we let you hear from him coming up in just a couple of minutes. But he did something very interesting this summer, which is very Dylan Thompson-like, I believe. We'll also hear from Dabo Sweeney coming up this hour as well, so stay tuned for that. We'll try to also get to Kevin Sumlin and Butch Jones. You know, I didn't realize until I was listening to Butch Jones, Pro, and then looked through some of the data. He's got a practically rebuilt football team. He lost half his football team, he said, left after last season for one reason or another. He lost because of injuries. They started 15 different players on offense. Let me see if I get this right. He lost a total of 30 players who had been starters on offense and defense combined. So it's basically a complete rebuilding job. They lost every starting offensive lineman, every starting defensive lineman. That's a tough. I can't see upward mobility for Tennessee this season, and it's hard to believe. And you know, I like to use Tennessee as an example of where patience is a virtue, and they didn't have it at Tennessee when it came to Philip Fulmer. But how far this program has declined in recent years. They haven't been to a bowl game since 2010. That's a 3-year drought for them. That's almost unheard of in a program that's been to 49 bowl games in its history. I don't see them getting to a bowl game this year.
Well, you know, the difficult thing, Phil, and I think probably it happens, it's a trap that people fall into in any walk of life. But let's just point it to football. When they talk about the history of a program, well, you forgot that the history is built on people. And when you start snatching, pulling, changing the underpinnings, which are people, you're going to destroy the underpinnings of the program. And that's what happened to Tennessee. They thought its legend of being a great program would carry it through. No, it's the people that carry it through. And the way they've tossed people around and coaches, we see the results of what has happened. You destroyed a program.
5-7 last year. And, of course, they did have that win over South Carolina, which spoiled the Gamecocks' opportunity to win the East. Spurrier accurately pointed out today to the main media when he was asked about winning the East again. He said, well, you know, South Carolina, each of the last 3 years, South Carolina has gone 6-2. And each of those 3 years, they beat the team that won the East. But South Carolina itself did not win the East because they lost a game in there that they probably shouldn't have lost. Or the other team didn't lose enough. Be right back.
All right, Corn Camex having serious internet issues, so we're trying to find alternate methods to get me some Dabo and some Chad. Who we running here? Sure do. He's trying to post it to the website. We're trying any means I can get on the web. Cats and my email has not worked, so we're trying to post it to the website. Apparently everybody's pulling on the internet. Blah blah blah. Correct.
Well, first of all, how are you enjoying Media Day?
So I'm starting with your opening, Corn.
We roll along from SEC Media Days here in Hoover, Alabama, at the Hyatt Regency Winfrey Hotel. All these years it was just the Winfrey. Now Hyatt has come in, changed the name to the Hyatt Regency Winfrey Hotel, connected to the Galleria here in Hoover, Alabama. And Radio Row just full of mostly empty tables now because most of the shows have signed off for the night. We're one of about 4 or 5 that go on into the evening hours. There are a lot of morning shows here. Guys come in, do their thing, get out of here. We'll be here through the duration, which will be Thursday night. And then it's over to ACC Media Days but we'll be there Sunday, of course, for players, and then Monday for coaches. So we look forward to that. Coming up, Dabo Sweeney in just a little bit. But today here at SEC Media Days, the USC contingent came through. Of course, Spurrier, we've heard from him. A.J. Cann was here. J.T. Surratt was here. And the man who will now lead the Gamecock offense, he has the unenviable task of replacing, well, a guy that will go down in history as perhaps the greatest Gamecock quarterback ever, or at least one of them, and that's Connor Shaw. Dylan Thompson taking over as the Gamecock quarterback, and as such, he was making the rounds here in Hoover this morning. Well, first of all, how are you enjoying Media Days?
It's kind of a circus, going everywhere, different room for 10, 15 minutes at a time. But it's enjoyable, man. It's good to get to see some of these people and hear their questions and all and answer them. Hopefully in a real way. I don't want to be boring up there saying the same thing over and over, but I just enjoy the process, and it's fun.
Any particular line of questioning that you're getting from reporters who aren't around you on a regular basis?
Obviously, everyone's going to ask how is it without Connor, that question 100 times, but that's about it. And, offensive line's experienced. Same thing, but, it's those guys are, not in the know, I guess, as much as guys around us, so they can ask it. It's cool, and just trying to answer them best I know how.
So how is it without Connor?
It's good. It's different. I mean, I would be lying if I said it wasn't. But he's a great guy, and I learned a lot from him. And it's cool, though, to see that we are now in different places. He's in Cleveland, I'm here, or I guess in Columbia, obviously. But just our friendship, I mean, that's something that we can move, and it's going to still be there. And I'm looking forward to what we both do this year.
All right, from a football standpoint, what have you gone through this summer?
I mean, we just have been working, man. That's all I can tell you. We've been grinding, and guys just Shaq Rowland, Corey Robinson, Bryson Williams just been working really hard, and I'm excited to see what it looks like come August 1st, and then we'll start building from there.
So specifically, what have you worked on in your game this summer to improve on things from last year?
I studied a lot of tape, more tape than I have in the past, but just accuracy, making sure my fundamentals are there, and I've tried to work a lot in the heat and get out in the heat. I know that sounds simple, but Columbia heat's no joke, and trying to be effective when I'm tired. And I think that's something that's rarely worked, and I haven't worked on in the past a lot. But just being accurate when I'm tired, because I mean everybody I feel like can go out there, first series and be pretty sharp. But when I'm fatigued and tired, that's when I want to be great, and that's what I've been working on.
Yeah. The fans say, Connor was a great runner, pretty good thrower. Dylan's a great thrower, maybe not the same kind of runner. Is that pretty accurate description?
I would say between us, yeah. I mean, I don't think I'm going to break a long run or anything, but I think we just try to be effective, whatever it takes. If it's running for 15, 20 yards, if it's throwing, whatever it takes to be effective is what we want to do, and that's what I try to do this year.
How comforting is it for you to know that you've got 4 returning starting offensive linemen and a 5th who's played a good bit, and 3 of those guys are highly acclaimed linemen?
Yeah, that's really big for me as a quarterback. But those guys have just worked so hard this offseason, and that's been probably more important than the accolades, really, is just seeing those guys' work ethic in the weight room and on the practice field, putting time in on their own, and knowing that's who you got protecting you is huge. And it's just been a blessing to really get to know those guys and hang out and build relationships with them.
The expectation is obviously very high now after what USC has done the last 3 years. And do you let those expectations get inside your head thinking, I've got to win 11 games, we've got to match what we've done the last 3 years?
I don't think so. I just think we have a chance to be a really good team, and but we don't know what it's going to look like right now. Like I was telling people earlier, nobody picked Missouri to be that team last year. Being honest about it, I don't think anybody did. But they ended up being, the representative for the Eastern Championship game. And I think we just have to control what we can control, and that's, be as efficient as possible in practice and really just go at it, as we're going to try to make a big impact this year and make a lot of plays and see where it lands us.
Your brother going to Elon got himself an offer and a commitment.
Yeah, he is. It was really neat. The day before I left for Israel, he was there, and I went with him up there, and they offered him, and it's a great place. I think it's a really good fit for him, and he's a great player, and I'm excited about what he's going to do.
What'd you do in Israel?
Just there doing football camps, and then seeing the country, and it was a blast. That was a great place.
You play football in Israel?
They do, American football. So it was a lot of fun, man.
Well, I'm glad he got out of there, because unfortunately in Israel right now, in football terms, a bomb is a good thing a lot of times, but over there right now, the word bomb is not a good thing.
No, it's a lot of unrest over there. My hat's off to anybody who goes over there. I know probably if you're there, it is not as shocking as we take it to be, but still, you're in dangerous. I think it's dangerous to any American traveling overseas right now, especially in the Middle East.
Yeah. Well, Dylan is a very religious individual. He does more than just talk the talk. He really walks the walk, as they say, and I admire him for following his beliefs and reaching out to so many people in different ways. And he's a really good kid, and, this is a guy that the naysayers, when he signed with South Carolina, I think he was what you would call a 2-star recruit, about as low as you can get on the star table. I'm not sure they give you 1 star. And people said, if he plays at South Carolina, it'd be as a tight end, never play quarterback. And he just keeps proving people wrong. But now it's a whole nother deal when you're the guy on the sideline waiting to go in and get your shot to fill in here and fill in there and maybe occasionally start. It's his baby now. The load is on his shoulders, and the question is, can he respond in that capacity?
The interesting thing, Phil, also is one of the great things about Connor Shaw was also one of the things to his detriment, and that is you got to pick your spots when you see that there is some imminent danger or chance of injury, and just go down. I think the key, until they develop a quarterback they're comfortable with to be the backup, Dylan Thompson not only has to perform, he has to pick his spots when he thinks, well, maybe I throw this out of bounds and we live another day, but I'm not going to stick my head in somewhere where I could get injured and then we're left with an unproven backup. That's going to be one of the things in the back of his head. Even though he may say up front he's not thinking about that, you got to think about that, not so much for self-preservation, but the preservation of keeping your team together with a chance to win.
Absolutely. They cannot afford to lose Dylan Thompson to injury. South Carolina's had that luxury the last couple of years of having Stephen Garcia and then a backup like Connor Shaw, who they could put in a ball game and go and win. And then they had the luxury of a Connor Shaw backed up by Dylan Thompson, who could put in a ball game, go and win. They don't have that luxury right now. They don't have somebody that you can look at. Brendan Nosovich, can you put him out there and go win? Connor Mitch, can you put him out there and go win? Perry Orth, Can you put him out there and go win? I wouldn't say you could right now until they prove otherwise. So they need to keep him upright. He's got to be judicious in his decision making when it comes to taking off down the field. And I think Spurrier is going to harp on him a lot about if it's not there and the pressure's on you, get rid of the football and step away from the rush. We'll be right back.
I'm going to run some Butch here real quick. Okay. So you want me to try to shoot for another day this week? Just push it off a full week? Gotcha.
On the average, a third of college football teams change. The dynamics change. You have.
All right, we get right to it here. We can get all the Butch in. Okay.
Cambo Sweeney coming up in just a couple of minutes. Stay tuned for that. But back here at SEC Media Days, another coach to hear from. A team South Carolina will face at home this season. They feel like they owe Tennessee one. Butch Jones knows he's got a major rebuilding job ahead of him. He told us about it today here in Hoover.
On the average, a third of college football teams change. The dynamics change. You have to reinvent yourself. Each and every year, there's new opportunities for everyone in your football program, from leadership to the roles of your players. For us at Tennessee, we're a little bit different. We're not at the norm in terms of having to replace a third of our football team. We're having to replace almost half of our football team. This year, half of our roster will be brand new. With that has brought a lot of positive energy, excitement, momentum that surrounds Tennessee football. And so much momentum, not just from a program standpoint in terms of football, but from facility improvements, from recruiting, and just the overall development that's going on at Tennessee. We've had an influx of young talent and youthfulness, and we were very fortunate to sign a signing class of 32, 14 of which were early enrollees, so they were present during spring football, and that really helped in the overall development of our football program. But we are still going through the realities of building a college football program. We're the only school in the country that has to replace both starting interior lines, both offensively and defensively. We have to replace our entire kicking game. And so for us, the challenge is going to be to maintaining our focus, having consistency in performance, and really understanding what it takes to play winning football week in and week out. You hear me talk about the power of one. The one is very powerful with this football team because being so young, we have to focus on the moment. We have to win one moment at a time, one play at a time, one practice at a time, one day at a time, have one unity of purpose, one common commitment, and one mindset. And it's all about our players understanding they have to earn the right to win. There's a difference between earning the right to win and hoping to win. And our players are doing that just right now. Our veteran players have done a great job of really mentoring our younger players, and that's why A.J. Johnson, Kurt Maggitt, and Matt Crowder are with us today. They've earned the right to represent the University of Tennessee with their consistency in their approach on a day-to-day basis, but also their leadership qualities. We had two freshmen that played for us last year that were freshman All-Americans in terms of Marquez North and Cam Sutton, and we're going to rely on them. As I talked about the power of one, the whole key for us is how do we manage the natural adversities that a college football season brings about. The daily demands of being a student athlete, from the media to going on the road and winning in hostile environments to the time management that's required, community service, all that embodies of being a student athlete. So it's going to be how this football team can manage those natural adversities. But we have great team chemistry. I like where this football team is right now. Looking forward to starting practice on August 1st. And quite simply, it's going to be how fast can we jump the learning curve. And we'll find out in a hurry with a great opponent in Utah State.
And, of course, one of the big questions, who will be the quarterback? It's going to be a three-man race. All right, we bring you football from all across the state today here in Hoover, Alabama, of course, covering SEC Media Days, and in the upstate, up in Sunset at the beautiful, beautiful Reserve Club up in the mountains. K-Mac's been up there all day for Dabo Sweeney's media golf outing. He had a chance a little while ago to talk with Dabo Sweeney, the Tigers head man, and, of course, one thing he likes to do is pump up the beautiful things about his program, and he was very excited today to talk about some of those good things.
We built a good program, and that's kind of been the objective from day one. Is let's don't just have a good team. Let's build a great program. Let's make decisions for the long haul, not what's best in the short term and take shortcuts and all that. And that's what we've tried to do for the past several years. And going into year 6, I think we have a foundation that can sustain us. Everybody's going to lose good players, but the good programs out there, continue to compete at a high level, and because there's a culture in place. And I think that that's probably the thing that we've worked the hardest on, is just having the right type of culture, work ethic, expectation. Guys expect to win. They believe. They know how to pay the price, and then you have to recruit at a high level. And I think that the great thing about college football is there's forced change every year. Because your players have to leave. They have to move on. Even they just get to be great players, and it's time for them to go. So you're always starting over in college football. And I love my staff, and I really like the personnel that we have. And we lost some really, really good players, and you can't understate that. But this is the most seniors I've had ever, and juniors. So it's a very veteran group that has won a bunch of ball games in the last few years, and has tasted success, and they know what they got to do to do it again. And our guys are far from satisfied. I mean, we've done some good things, but we really we got a lot of unfinished business, and our goal is to be the best. And so that's what our focus is. And every year we're on a quest to be the best, and hopefully this is the year that we can find a way to win them all. But regardless, when it's all said and done, we want to be able to look back and know that we did everything we could to put our best foot forward each and every week and give our guys a chance to be successful.
I was one of the guys last year that was looking at you like you had 6 heads growing out of your neck when you said the defensive line was going to be the strength of your team, and now we're a year later. We're saying Clemson's defensive line might be one of the best in the country.
Yeah, you were in a long line there. I told Tim, I said, this probably ain't going to go over very well, because everybody wants to talk about Sammy and Taj. But, I've been around this game for a long time, and, all the great teams that I've been a part of, usually there was a great defensive line. And, I think this football team defensively especially is the best that we've had from just an overall depth, talent, experience combination. And I think offensively we got to fill some shoes early, but I think when it's all said and done, I still think we'll be one of the better offenses in the country, because we've recruited well, and I like the personnel that we have in key positions. Everybody has some question marks, and it's our job to get those questions answered. But defensively, just like last year, I'm very excited about what we have up front in the front 7. But the biggest thing for me this year is I just think we're much more complete with the improvement of our secondary, the development of those guys, the addition to some of the guys that redshirted last year, like Mackenzie Alexander, who was hurt. I just think that we have a chance to be a very, very good group over there, and so hopefully we can stay healthy, and these guys will match the performance to what all of our expectation is.
Are there any specific position battles that you're going to have your eye on this preseason camp?
Oh, yeah, there's a bunch of battles. The running back position offensively is going to be a very competitive position. There's going to be some very competitive battles at wide out. We have great competition at tight end. I think that there's going to be good competition in our offensive line as far as who's going to start at right tackle for us, who's going to be our interior people. We've got some guys that we're cross training, and do we move a Guillermo? There's a lot of options that we have, and so it's going to come down to the competition. And then over on the defensive side, I think everybody knows what we got in our 6 seniors up front in the defensive line, but behind those guys, there's a lot of competition. And you look at the linebacker position, and Stephon and Tony Stewart and Kellen Jones and B.J. Goodson and Ben Boulware and our nickel Sam position, Corinne Wiggins and Blanks and Dorian O'Daniel and Burrell. I mean, there's just a lot of bodies who can play, and we've got 7 corners that I think can compete and 6 safeties. And it's going to be interesting to see how J-Ron and Jadar, how that battle shakes out at safety. And Robert Smith is our best, most proven player on the back end. T.J. Green is behind him. Gary Peters, Martin Jenkins, Mackenzie Alexander, Cordray Tankersley. There's just a bunch of competition in those positions, but that's just going to make us better. What I'm looking for is some competition at kicker and punter. Right now we don't have any. Ammon is kind of the lone ranger out there, and has performed well. But I'm excited about getting Alex Spence in here and seeing if he's ready to compete, and then also see if we can develop another punter to create a little bit of competition for Pinion at that position.
You've got Cole Stout rolling him out, big start against Georgia, and then you've got the freshman phenom, for lack of a better description, waiting in the wings. And talking to Chad Morris earlier, it sounds like you guys might let him dip his toes in the water a little bit against Georgia too.
Well, we want to play him early, and certainly he's going to have a lot to say about that as far as where he picks up from where he left off in the spring, how he performs in fall camp and all that kind of stuff. But if his fall camp is anything like his spring was, I can't imagine that he's not going to be involved early for us. And it's very important that we get him some experience because we have 0 outside of Cole. But Cole is definitely going in as our starter, and he's earned that. And it's a very healthy, very good situation, because what you really hope is that Cole, performs at the level we all expect, and you can bring a guy like Deshaun Watson along. But if it doesn't work out that way, hey, you got a freshman guy that's going to be around here for several years, and you give him a shot. So it's Cole's job to keep, and Deshaun's to go compete for, and then it's our job to put them in the best situation to be successful.
Last thing, I know you preached a mantra of the next game's always the most important game. I was curious. You have the clocks up now in the locker rooms and around the practice facility. What made you decide to do that? Was it just extra emphasis, or why'd you guys decide to do that?
Well, it was really something that the coaches brought to me, and really something they wanted to do. And we as we evaluate ourselves, I mean, and it is. I mean, the biggest game of the year is always the game we're preparing for. But one thing that we've just done such a poor job with is finding a way to finish better against the most important game in this state, and that is the Clemson South Carolina game. And so we just kind of want it always to be there, and for these guys to just understand that hey, we've not finished to our standard. We've had great years, we've done great things, and we have to we got to get it done. And I don't want to ever take anything away from South Carolina, because they've been a great team. A top 10 team, top 5 team, and it's not like we got to hold our head down like we've gone out and laid an egg and lost to bad teams. We hadn't lost to anybody that we've been favored to win in a long time. We finished 7th, they finished 4th, and the other team we lost to finished 1.
Okay, Dabo Sweeney, interesting stuff from him up at his golf outing today, and we'll have more from him next week from ACC Media Days in Greensboro. Thanks to K-Mac for that, and we'll be back with more in a moment.
You saying recruiting for the back end? Yes.
We're headed in the right direction. We haven't accomplished everything we've wanted to accomplish.
Someone's about 5 on the dot. So we need to be quasi-quick getting into them. Yeah, we all are. Nope. Stand by.
August 28th in Columbia, USC opens the college football season against Texas A&M. So both the Gamecocks and the Aggies were represented here today. There was no mixing it up between the two of them. They were very respectful of one another. Kevin Sumlin, who really likes Steve Spurrier, good friend of the Spurrier family, he was here today to talk about his program and where it's headed as he goes into his third year with the Aggies.
We're headed in the right direction. We haven't accomplished everything we've wanted to accomplish over the last couple years, but I think there's no doubt that we're headed in the right direction, and our university is giving us the opportunity, the means, and the support to put us on the track to be extremely successful. I think offensively, I didn't come here today to tell you who the quarterback was going to be, so we can eliminate those questions. That'll play itself out. I think we're looking at probably a couple weeks before we play South Carolina that we'll name a starter. The good news is that we've got 4 of our 5 offensive linemen back, a really good tight end in Cam Clear, a lot of great players around him on the perimeter, and 3 exceptional running backs. So our focus in the offseason has been with our offense just to talk to them about, number one, it's incumbent on the other 10 guys who are on the field to make that quarterback, to make the offense quarterback friendly. And our guys understand that, because whoever that is going to be a young guy going into going into a very hostile situation in Columbia, the first game of the year on the SEC network. Defensively, I think we will have, believe it or not, more depth in our front seven, particularly in our front four. We ended the year playing, rotating 5 D linemen out of the 4 spots, and that took its toll, as anybody will tell you in this league. This is a line of scrimmage league. So we've recruited and have more depth. Those guys are 1 year older. Jordan Mastrogiovanni moves into Mike linebacker, which is his natural position. He's 240 now, and which is, he probably should have redshirted last year, but we didn't have the luxury of doing that. I think the key to our defense will be, our guys, the rotation up front, the maturity of the guys who played last year, and getting better safety play. And we'll challenge those guys who played last year at safety early in camp. And we got some young guys that we brought in, and we'll see what happens there. We'll have great competition across the board, special teams wise. We bring everybody back.
Steve Spurrier was in earlier, and he complimented you on your coaching record and skills, and then he really complimented you on your salary negotiating skills. And I'm wondering what thoughts you have about matching up against him in the opener and then playing South Carolina on a yearly basis.
The question didn't have anything to do with your comment. You just had to get that out there, didn't you? Right? So see guys just stirring the pot, trying to bring me in, right? Now it's year 3. You're not going to get me on that. No, Coach is I consider him and Jerry great family friends. And I think you guys know we went on a trip a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, with Bob Stoops, and went to Southern Ireland, played a little golf, and hung out, talked some football. But he's as a young coach growing up, it's hard to say that he wasn't the standard. He is the standard. You look at what he's done at South Carolina over the course of 3-11 win seasons. That's incredible in this league, and at South Carolina and the recruiting that has gone on and playing in a championship game. No matter where you are in the country, what conference you are in, how old you are, whatever it is, you cannot deny his accomplishments as a head coach. And like I said the other day, he's been awful quiet. That means he must think they're pretty good, and we're gonna have our work cut out for us going there in the first game. But you know what? I'll say this too. I've been a part of a couple different scenarios. It's a little bit easier to get your team's attention. When you turn that tape on and they know where they're going, and we're during when it gets 100 and some degrees in Texas, and it's about practice 17, and guys don't want to do anything. It's a little bit easier to get guys' attention when they know they're going on the road, play South Carolina on first game of the SEC network for the world to watch. I think it helps our sense of urgency to prepare. And I kind of like playing games like that early in the season.
Okay, Kevin Sumlin, that's going to be a heck of a ball game. I don't know that Texas A&M can improve its defense that much that quickly to come in and slow down the Gamecocks, but can the Gamecocks defensively hang with what could still be a pretty dangerous A&M offense? We'll be back. Well, I think this show has been like a very large ice cream sundae. And the only way to complete an ice cream sundae is with the whipped cream and cherry on top. And we do that with recruiting. Here comes your whipped cream and your cherry on top. Defensive lineman DJ Jones of East Mississippi Junior College and Wren High School had considered returning to South Carolina this week. On his way to visit Florida State this weekend, he had thought about visiting USC and Clemson again before going to Tallahassee. Now he will just go directly to Florida State with his parents Friday, unofficial visit. Jones said he has no other visits planned for the summer and will focus on his upcoming season after making this visit. He's also visited Tennessee, and the Vols remain his favorite in his top 10. He said he'll get some games out of the way, and then he'll get it down to 5, and he plans to announce December 13th. Linebacker Amonte Caban of Smith Station, Alabama, said he's having a lot of contact with USC right now. He talked with recruiter Kurt Botkin on Monday, and he said that they want him to come up on the 26th. I think the Gamecocks have a camp then. He's not sure he can make it. He's going to try to. Clemson has also offered Caban. Some others are Tennessee, Mississippi State, Kentucky, and Louisville. And a good day in recruiting for Alabama. They land for 2016 cornerback Shaheem Carter and athlete Demetrius Robertson. He's from Savannah. And Clemson had offered both Carter and Robertson. USC had also offered Robertson. They are both now committed to Alabama for 2016. And there you go with a few recruiting notes. We'll get back into recruiting hot and heavy once we get through all this media day stuff and we have a little bit more time to put into that. Okay, we have certainly enjoyed bringing you all the stuff from here today. It's been a busy day with South Carolina making its visit and 3 other schools coming through. Let me tell you what's on the agenda for tomorrow. First of all, SEC Director of Officials Steve Shaw is going to be here. Then we've got from the SEC Network Justin Connolly. Also from the College Football Playoff, Bill Hancock. So they will be here along with the Missouri Tigers, Coach Gary Pinkel, the LSU Tigers, Coach Les Miles, and the Arkansas Razorbacks. And really, I guess Matty Malk, the quarterback from Missouri, may be the biggest name of the players coming in. So we'll have all that covered for you tomorrow night here on Sports Talk. And, of course, throughout the day on our website, sportstalksc.com. Picking the American League tonight, MVP Derek Jeter. What do you say, Pro?
I really don't care. I have something I want to ask you. Ask Steve Shaw tomorrow, and if you would stand up and be a tackling dummy, tell him to demonstrate what holding is.
You know what? I'll bring in Jadeveon Clowney to do that with Shaw so they can show him firsthand. Okay, have a great night, and we'll see you tomorrow.